guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today is the April Pinspiration collaboration that is hosted by Kreationsby Kimber. I will have all the links for the ladies that participate in this collaboration down in the description box. But every month at the end of the month, the last Saturday, we put out a video that features one of the items that we have made that we have seen on Pinterest and that we've had pinned to one of our Pinterest boards for a while and we've been wanting to make one. So this month I am going to make a junk journal using an old Candyland game. This is not like a vintage one by any means, but it was one that was given to me by a family that had used it well, obviously, to the point to where the board is completely apart in pieces. It was taped together, and yeah, so I don't feel bad about using this for or changing it into a junk journal. So that is what I want to make, is a junk journal using a Candyland board game, and I'll use the board for the cover, and then I will put in some paper, and this, I have this stack here. It's called Nana's Kits by DCWV. I've had this for a while. It was actually a pad my mom had, and so I brought it home with me when I went through some of her stuff. And then my friend Tara found this Candyland stuff in her stash of scrapbooking items, and she gave those to me, so I'm going to use this in the book. And then I have some other papers and items that I'll be using. I have some dyed regular paper and notebook paper that are pink and green and blue. I have this pink glassine envelope or bag, this envelope here. I have some pink heart doilies. I found some fun book pages. This is a sheet music page. This one is from a cookbook, a kid's cookbook. Here's another sheet music that's the ice cream. You scream, we all scream for ice cream, that one. I thought this was fun. This was from a workbook, old workbook, but it has the rainbow colors that are on the Candyland game. And then these were the papers that I picked from that scrapbook pad that I thought would go well. I'm not quite sure. I think I might try and find a different stripe in some of my other papers, because I really want this stripe to have a white stripe in there, but it doesn't, to kind of blend in with this a little bit better, but we'll see. So those are the items I have, and I'm going to show you how to put together one of these. It's actually pretty simple, and you can do it lots of different ways, but today I'm going to be doing it using binder rings. And if you didn't see my most recent journals that I have in my Etsy shop now, I made them with little golden books and used the binder rings for those books, and I think they turned out really cute, and it makes for a quick junk journal if you don't like to do pamphlet stitching or bookbinding, like Japanese bookbinding. This way is really quick and it turns out really cute. So I'll go ahead and put a picture of my completed book in right now so you can actually see it before you decide to watch this whole video. And yeah, so hopefully you will enjoy this, and this will be fun. I'm gonna end up putting this in my Etsy shop, so be on the lookout for that if you're interested. But otherwise, I just hope this gives you inspiration for a journal. And this journal would be fun to give for someone that has a child, or maybe they just loved playing Candyland when they were a child, so maybe it just like brings back memories, or you can use it as a scrapbook or a journal to write in, or, you know, write your memories, whatever. Just so you know, lots of people either scrapbook or they junk journal. I kind of do both, and when I do my junk journals for myself that I keep, I like to put pictures in them like a scrapbook. So yeah, so just follow along and I'll show you how to make one of these. To start off, I'm just measuring out the Candyland board and deciding what size I want to make the papers in my book. So they end up being about 8.5 inches tall by 7.5 inches wide. So now I'm just going to go through each of my papers and decide how I want to cut them down, but I do want to make sure that they are the 7.5 wide by 8.5 tall. And then if I want to fold parts in on the papers to make it that size, or fold up to make a pocket on the bottom, I'll do that too. Now I may at the end of this figure out that I want to add additional papers to make this a thicker album, but because I'm using the binder rings, that's the beauty of that. I can add in things when, if I want or see that it needs to be fuller. But I am going to wait until I have done the sewing and added pockets and things like that. So if you want to see how I end up doing everything on the inside, I will have a full flip through of this on another video, probably Monday. So yeah, so you can see the whole thing before I put it up in my Etsy shop. I absolutely love this paper that my friend Tara gave me. It is a Candyland scrapbook paper. I don't remember what the brand is, but she had found it in her stash of stuff and she knew that I was making this book, so she gave me that along, as well as some embellishments that I showed you at the beginning. So that was fun. So on these book pages, one of them, the music sheet there, the one that says ice cream, I end up just folding in half, but then some of my other book pages I cut down to the size. But that one was a little bit harder, so I decided to just fold it in half and put it in the book that way. So the stuff will be like, you'd have to look at it on its side. But everything else I was able to cut down and have it be the correct way. Some of those older papers, you kind of have to be real delicate when you use your paper trimmer, or it might rip. It kind of gets caught. With the envelope, it was a little slightly a little bit too tall, so I trimmed off the edge, but I'll go in and sew that later on. And then for the plain paper here, since usually when I dye my papers, I automatically fold them in half just because it's just easier later on. I don't know. That's just what I do. So I store them folded in half in a little box. So with these, I wanted them to be that 7.5 by 8.5 size. So I might like add pockets to these, or just add trim, or just not even worry about it. I don't know. Now I'm just sorting all my papers into piles by scrapbook paper, and then like plain papers, book pages, and then extras. And then I'll just go through and alternate everything, trying to make it even throughout the book, as far as like add one scrapbook paper, then a plain piece of paper, then a book page, then an extra, and you can tell what I'm doing here. But ultimately, you can put them in there however you want them to be. All right, now we're moving on to the cover. So I'm just using my ruler that has the metal edge on it and my box cutter, and then I have a cutting mat under there, and I'm cutting the edge at the bottom, trying to make it as smooth as possible. I think my box cutter needs to have a new blade on it, so I'm trimming off that. I'm using the piece of the board that says Candyland on it. That's going to be the front cover of my book. And then I'm using the other side for the back cover. I wanted to have as much of the finished edge of that board on both sides of my book. So that's how I'm doing that. And then I picked out some blue gingham fabric. It had the same color blue. And I'm cutting a strip. It's about 2 inches wide, and you make that in the same height of your book. So I'll make it the 2 inches by 8.5 inches, and I'm doing that twice because I want to put fabric on the cover and the back, or the front cover page and the back cover page. And at first I thought I wanted the frayed edges, but then I came in later and added some trim on there, so that's, yeah, I didn't really need to do that. I took my tacky glue and smoothed it out there and put the fabric down on top of that and smoothed it all out, and then did it on the back side. And then I found this. It was in some Christmas trim that I had, and it is just a seam binding, the kind that's like double folded. So I glued it together on the inside and then put some glue down and put the whole piece down on top of that. But I just thought that went perfectly with the Candyland theme. And then I'll just do the same thing on this side, or on the back cover. I'm hoping someday that I will be able to find a vintage Candyland game to make a book out of too. This one, I think it was from 2014. But I think it still turned out really cute. I have a couple vintage Hershey's chocolate postcards that I had found at my mom's house. So I'm going to stick that in as part of the ephemera. I also went through some vintage recipes that I had and found some candy recipes. I also found an assignment from it, I think it was my sister's, but it was a home ec assignment where she was learning how to make lollipops. And yeah, I have that, so I'm going to include that in there. So I was measuring with my ruler 2.5 inches up from the bottom and the top of the cover, and that's where I made my marks to punch the holes. So I'll take my first paper and draw marks through those holes onto the paper, and then I'll stack up several of the papers under that and punch holes, and I'll just do that all the way through the book, so I have the holes all in the same place. I'm using the crocodile, and that will probably punch about 5 pages nicely if you hold them together real nice and tight. But since, you know, I have several sheets here, I'll have to do this several times. I thought I wanted to include that doily as far as having it hanging on the binder ring, but there would be only one hole that it would fit on, so I'll just add that later to one of the pages. Now I'm going through and I'm going to put my binder rings onto the pages, or put the binder ring through the pages, and do that on the top and the bottom. I didn't get the bag lined up there to punch the holes, so I had to go ahead and do that. And then I'll put the binder ring on the bottom hole. This one's a little bit trickier. You just have to make sure you have all the holes there. Now it's ready to decorate, so I found more of that candy cane seam binding, so I'm going to tie a piece on each binder ring, and then I have some rainbow ribbon, so I added that, and then I have some pink polka dot, and the last one was some like that really thin red ribbon, so I added that on there too. I thought I needed some green in there, but I couldn't find anything that I liked that I had in my stash, so I didn't end up including that. Now I wanted to add some dimension to the front cover, so I have these two playing cards that came in the board game box. And I thought I wanted yellow, but I couldn't find one that was in very good condition. So I'm just using my tacky glue and gluing those two down. And I have this little player piece, the gingerbread man, and I thought I was going to cut him, like the base off to use it, but that wasn't working, so I decided not to do that. I thought I was going to glue him down on top of those two cards, but then I decided I have these dimensional stickers that Tara had given me that were candy, so I'm using those, and they do have sticky stuff on the back, but I always like to add glue to that just because this is going to be in an open on the cover. It might, you know, they might come off if they're not totally glued down. So for the gingerbread man, I have the little clasps that you can buy to use on leather cording, and so I'm just taking one of those and flattening them out with my pliers, and then I'm using E6000 and I'm going to glue that to the back of the little gingerbread man. First I need to clean out the end of the E6000 because it was kind of dried up a little bit. I had to get through all the globby parts. There, I finally found some, and I just put. Then I'll just let him dry. Alright, so here is how it turned out. I absolutely love using this little guy on the side here. Be sure to let that dry like overnight before doing too much handling of it. But yeah, I think it turned out super cute, and I will be doing a little bit more to the inside of my book, like sewing things into it and adding ephemera and stuff. And then I will do a final flip through video of this before I put it up in my Etsy shop. So go ahead and follow me and favorite my Etsy shop if you'd like to be notified when it's up there. But subscribe to my channel if you want to see the next video on this. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. Love having you here. And thank you for watching this Pinspiration collaboration. We'll see you next month for another Pinspiration collab. And go ahead and check out all the other participants in this collaboration. All right, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. This is Kim of Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.